Dear learners, I welcome you to this MOOC on heritage tourism. This is Module 9, Religious and Pilgrimage Tourism, and the topic for today that we will be discussing is Sacred Histories and Travel. A pilgrimage refers to a journey undertaken to a place of religious significance, primarily motivated by faith. It is often understood as a transformative and enlightening experience in which individuals travel to a sacred site to connect with forces beyond the human realm in the hope of attaining salvation or spiritual insight. Pilgrim seeks a moment where they experience something out of the ordinary that marks a transition from the mundane, secular world of their everyday existence to a special and sacred state, as stated by Collins and Craner. Scholars have long recognized that religion and tourism overlap in different ways. Religious tourism is one form of tourism in which people travel partly or entirely for religious reasons. In fact, it is one of the oldest forms of tourism because people have been traveling for religious purposes since ancient times. Early human migration was often closely linked with religion, such as journeys to sacred places or centers of worship. Religious touristic activities take many forms. These ranges from long journeys such as pilgrimage where people travel and stay at religious centers for an extended period of time to shorter visits to sacred sites for worship, reflection, festivals or religious gatherings. In some cases, the whole journey is religious in nature, while in others, visiting a religious site is just one part of a larger trip that may also include leisure or sightseeing. Because of this, the link between tourism and religion can be seen as a continuum based on how strong the religious motivation is. At one end of this continuum is sacred pilgrimage, where travel is driven entirely by faith and the search for spiritual fulfillment. At the opposite end is the secular tourist who may visit places mainly for leisure, culture, or personal interest, though they might still gain some personal or spiritual satisfaction from the experience. Between these two extremes are many types of travelers whose motivations vary. Some travelers are more pilgrim than tourist, meaning religion is their main reason for travel, while others are more tourist than pilgrim, where religious sites are visited mainly for cultural, historical, or educational reasons. Thus, religious tourism exists in many forms, shaped by different levels of religious and non-religious motivation. Religious tourism, like other forms of tourism, is not uniform and includes a wide range of practices and meanings. Even within a single religion, different religious journeys are valued differently based on beliefs, traditions, and spiritual significance. In Hinduism, for instance, pilgrimages are ranked according to their perceived spiritual importance. A journey to Kailash Sarovar is considered of the highest religious value because it is believed to be the abode of Lord Shiva and holds deep cosmic significance. A pilgrimage to Amarnath is also regarded as very important due to its association with Lord Shiva and the sacred ice lingam. In comparison, visits to Badrinath and Kedarnath, though highly respected and sacred, are often seen as having relatively lesser, though still significant, religious value. These examples show that within every religion, religious travel exists along a spectrum of importance rather than being a single uniform experience. The value attached to a pilgrimage depends on theological beliefs, historical traditions, and cultural interpretations, leading to variations in how religious tourism is practiced and perceived. According to some scholars, religious tourism is spiritually purposive. Some are believed to be more significant and rewarding from spirituality point of view than others, as Fickelman and Picatin points it. The purpose of religious tourism, however, falls under the following categories. Pilgrimage as a performance or as an act of worship. It is widely believed that the majority of religious travel is an act of worship and salvation, except for the Muslims and Jews who perform their religious travel to Mecca or Hajj and Jerusalem respectively as conditionally obligatory. In case of the above two religions, beliefs goes that all healthy and financially capable of undertaking such travel must visit the holy shrine at least once in their lifetime. The other purpose is to express gratitude or to confess their sin or to perform a vow. When people face problems in their lives that cannot be solved through ordinary means, they often turn to God. Visiting a sacred places or spaces helps the believers to pray, to confess their sins, or to thank God for their past blessings and make vows or promises for a better and more disciplined life in the future. The other purpose is to achieve social and spiritual salvation. In many societies, going on a religious journey is seen as a sign of devotion and moral goodness. Among Hindus, pilgrimages help earn religious merit, while among Buddhists they are seen as step towards enlightenment. Older people often go to pilgrimages as they withdraw from their active social life and prepare spiritually for the end of their life. The other purpose is to commemorate and celebrate certain religious events. Religious travel is also linked to festivals and sacred events such as the birth of Lord Krishna, the return of Lord Ram to Ayodhya, the birth or resurrection of Christ, and the birth or death of Prophet Muhammad. These events are celebrated through rituals and festivals which attract large numbers of devotees. One of the important reasons again is to be in communication with co-religionists. Pilgrimages and religious gatherings also give believers a chance to meet others who share the same faith. Such journeys strengthen social bonds, promote a sense of community, and bring people together for collective worship and religious discussion. In sacred geography, space is very important because it provides the setting in which all religious and cultural activities take place. Since the 1980s, scholars in social and cultural theory, geography, and religious studies have paid serious attention to space and landscape. This change, known as the spatial turn, helped researchers better understand how people experience sacredness and religion through places. At the heart of sacred geography is the belief that divine powers are deeply connected to the earth and space itself. Sacred places are thought to hold dormant divine energy that can be reawakened through human faith and rituals. Researchers focus on three main areas when they study sacred spaces or sacred geography. Number one is the ritual and spatial use of sacred spaces at different levels, whether it is individual, family, community, and cultural group. The second is historical meanings and emotions which is attached to sacred spaces and how these meanings are maintained over time. The third is the classification of sacred spaces or places based on their similarities, differences, and degrees of spiritual power. According to Belden C. Lane, sacred places have four key characteristics. Number one, sacred places are not chosen by humans. They are believed to choose people. They are places where the divine reveals itself. Number two, the sacred places are often ordinary locations made sacred through rituals. Their importance comes not from physical beauty, but from the religious practices performed there. Number three, a sacred place can be physically visited without being spiritually entered. True recognition of sacredness depends on one's inner awareness. Number four, sacred places are both local and universal. They draw people towards a spiritual center, yet remind them of the divine existence everywhere. Sacred geography also views that the world as an interconnected system sustained by five basic elements: earth, water, fire, air, and space. These elements interact to maintain prana or life force. This interaction operates across five dimensions: eternal dimensions, archetypal dimensions, conscious dimensions, etheric dimensions, and material dimensions. Understanding sacred geography or spaces helps travelers and pilgrims connect more deeply with the land and spiritual energy, allowing an exchange between the visitor and the sacred place. Today, geography increasingly recognizes the importance of place as a powerful cultural and spiritual force. In many traditions, especially in India, this understanding often places the feminine divine principle at the center of sacred landscape. We will now focus our attention on the Shakti Peeths as we discuss about sacred places, travels, and spaces. Shakti Peeths are highly sacred shrines dedicated to the pan-Indian Hindu goddess Durga or Shakti. Ancient Hindu texts such as the Devi Bhagavata Purana and several scholars suggest that there are either 51 or 108 major Shakti Peeths across the Indian subcontinents. Of the 51 Shakti Peeths, 41 are in India, 4 in Bangladesh, 3 in Nepal, 1 in Pakistan, one in Sri Lanka, and one in Tibet, China. These sites are central to Shaktism, an important tradition within Hinduism whose followers, known as Shaktas, worship the goddess as the supreme and ultimate power, the one without a second. All other male and female deities are believed to be manifestation of her energy. The term Pitha is generally understood to mean a sacred place dedicated to the goddess. However, its meaning has become somewhat unclear over time, which is because there are many types of Pitha such as the Siddha Pitha and the Upapitha, and some ancient shrines have disappeared or lost their importance, while other temples have later been given the status of a Pitha. In its literal sense, Pitha means seat. According to Kinsley, the term fits well with aspects of Devi theology that stress the goddess's close connection with earth and her nurturing motherly nature. The goddess is seen as ever-present and firmly rooted in the worldly realm, concerned with the everyday needs of her devotees such as fertility, health, prosperity, and long life. Although Shaktism emphasizes the feminine divine, it does not ignore the masculine principle represented by Shiva. Instead, Shiva and Shakti are seen as inseparable, with Shiva's power fully realized only through Shakti. According to the Devi Bhagavata Purana, the death of goddess Shakti plunged Shiva into a destructive state that threatened the universe. To prevent cosmic destruction, Lord Vishnu cut Shakti's body into pieces, and wherever a body part fell, a Shakti Peeth emerged. Temples were later established at these locations to worship the combined form of Shiva Shakti, giving rise to these revered pilgrimage centers. All Shakti Peeths share this common myth of origin, which creates a unifying spiritual and cultural link among them. Their geographical spread, shared rituals and festivals, and the religious merit associated with visiting them contribute to a sense of cultural unity across the country. These shrines have also played an important role in Sanskritization, encouraging social interaction and participation across caste groups in religious practices. For centuries, Shakti Peeths have brought together devotees from diverse cultural backgrounds, helping to shape and preserve India's rich religious heritage and strengthening community bonds and cultural identity. Despite their deep cultural and social importance, Shakti Peeths are often less ignored for their broader value. Pilgrimage to this site is usually undertaken as a ritual obligation or family tradition and is increasingly viewed simply as a form of religious tourism. Among the 51 Shakti Peeth is the Kamakhya temple that draws a large number of devotees all round the year. It is located on the mountain of Nilachala, a hill that hangs over the river Brahmaputra in the suburbs of the Guwahati city. The temple complex is considered sacred for the Hindus and a vibrant center of Shakta-tantrism. The temple complex is considered sacred for the Hindus and a vibrant center of Shakta-tantrism. It is surrounded by the Mahavidyas and other goddesses, Panchashiva, Mahakala, Vishnu, Ganesha, making it holy and pious for the devotees. The Ambubachi Mela is an annual festival in the month of June, coinciding with the menstruation period of the mother goddess. The temple doors remain closed for 3 days. However, a week-long festivity is celebrated in the complex where devotees from across the country pay a visit to Mother Kamakhya during this month. Among the other spaces of sacredness in the state of Assam, we can definitely look at the satras as such sites of tourism, especially sacred tourism. The satra is a product of the new Vaishnavite movement initiated by Srimanta Shankardeva. The religious cult that emerged under the spiritual leadership of Srimanta Shankardeva was known as the Mahapurushiya Dharma, since Shankardeva was popularly known among his followers as Mahapurusha. The other name of the cult was Ekahorana Dharma, which implied complete surrender to one God, which was Vishnu Krishna. Every satra maintains a namghar or a prayer hall, which serves as a community space where people are initiated to the Ekahorana tradition and become followers of its teaching. A satra is usually a rectangular enclosed complex with 4 entrances known as korapats. The main prayer hall is centrally located along the east-west axis. On the eastern side stands a separate structure called the Monikut or jewel house. The chief object of worship in the Manikut is idol or a manuscript of the Bhagavata Purana, placed on a wooden pedestal carved with 4 lions. Surrounding the prayer hall are small huts known as hattis, which serve as a living quarters for the monks. Traditionally, these structures were built using bamboo and wood, but over time they have been replaced with permanent buildings made of bricks and mortar. Some of the well-known khotras are Sri Sri Auniyati Khotra, Sri Sri Dakhinpat Khotra, Sri Sri Goromur Khotra, Sri Sri Begena Ati Khotra, Sri Sri Uttar Kamalabari Khotra, the Borpeta Khotra, amongst the important and the most popular ones. Some of the most popular and influential khotras of Assam are mentioned here. First and foremost, we have the Sri Sri Auniyati Khotra. This khotra was established by the Ahom king Jayadhaj Singha, also known as Sutamla, and the first Satradhikar was Sri Sri Niranjan Deva. This revered monastery embodies the teachings of Srimanta Shankardeva and his Ekahorana Dharma, a movement that celebrates devotion and community. The main components of the Sri Sri Auniyati the main components of the Sri Sri Auniyati Khotra are the Namghar, Manikut, the granary, the huts of the monks, the house of the head of the Khotra or the Khotradhikar, guest house, treasury, an open auditorium, and 2 huge temple ponds as well. The Khotradhikar is the head of the Khotra who presides over all the daily activities of the Sri Sri Auniyati Khotra. The museum at the Auniyati Khotra preserves various ancient relics from the times of the spread of Neo-Vaishnavism. The second most influential Khotra is the Sri Sri Dakhinpat Khotra. The Dakhinpat Khotra was founded by Bonamali Deva, a devoted exponent of the Ras Leela under the patronage of Ahom king Jayadhaj Singha. The Dakhinpat Khotra basically follows the ideals of Damodar Dev. The celebration of the first day of the Rakh Mahotsav, observed at the Dakhinpat Khotra in the Majuli Island, is called as the Adibas, and the festival ends on the 3rd evening by moving around with the Brindaban Chakra in the evening, and thousands of devotees gather to observe this festival and bhavna that is performed by the talented actors. The next popular Khotra is the Sri Sri Goromur Khotra. It is said that this Khotra was established and patronized under the regime of the Ahom king Pratap Singha on a huge land area of 66 bighas. It is one of the 4 most important Khotras which received royal patronage during the times of the Ahom kings. The Ras Leela performed at this Khotra is famous throughout the state. The next Khotra is the Sri Sri Beganati Khotra. This Khotra was established around the time of Sri Sri Auniyati Khotra of the Majuli Island. The Beganati Khotra was founded by Murari Deva, who was one of the prominent disciples of Purushottam Thakur. The Beganati Khotra is located at the north bank of the Brahmaputra river. This Khotra belongs to the Purusha Sanghati, which gives less leverage to Bhakta and Nam as compared to other components of Khotra. Sri Sri Uttar Kamalabari Khotra is located at the central part of the Majuli Island. The Sri Sri Uttar Kamalabari Khotra is renowned for the practice of the heritage art forms of the Khatriya Nritta, one of the 8 classical dance forms of India. This Khatriya Nritta is a dance form that was introduced by the holy saint reformer of Assam, Srimanta Shankardeva, to educate his pupils, disciples, and followers about the various Hindu epics and mythologies. The other influential Khotra is the Sri Sri Samoguri Khotra, which was established in 1663 by Sri Sri Chakrapani, grandson of Srimanta Shankardeva. This Khotra is famous worldwide for its traditional mask-making practices. Since antiquity, the tradition of mask-making has been traditionally carried out by the Khotras, the institutional centers of Vaishnavism. The Borpeta Khotra is also one of the most popular Khotras in Assam. It was established by Mahapurush Madhav Deva. However, it was his principal disciple Mathuradas Burhata who gave final shape to what it is today. The Khotra has several buildings. The front gate is also called Batsara. The main Kirtan Ghar, where prayers or Nam Kirtan is performed, is an architectural splendor in itself. The festivals of the Khotras of Majuli equally witnesses huge crowds of tourists, though not majorly pilgrimage tourists. Some of the significant festivals incorporated here for your interest are Rakh Mahotsav. The Sri Krishna Rakh Lila of Majuli district is world famous. Generally, Rakh Mahotsav is celebrated annually during the winter season. The Khatras of Majuli has earned fame for the classical performing arts and for the Rakh Lila or the Krishna Lila. The Rakh Lila is a story of the life of Lord Krishna presented in the form of dance and music, and it has great influence on the spiritual life of the people of Majuli. It is a unique festival. The second is Bhavna. Bhavna is a traditional form of religious theatre that is performed in the Khatras. The performances are based on the stories of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. Bhavna is a creation of Srimad Shankardeva, who wrote in the earlier 16th century to convey religious messages to the villagers through entertainment. Palnam. Originating in the 16th century through the pioneering efforts of Srimad Shankardeva, this ritual is a unique form of devotional expression which is characterized by the continuous chanting of divine names. Specifically prevalent in the Auniyati Khatra of Majuli, Palnam has emerged as a devotional ritual and festival, typically lasting 24 to 48 hours, that reinforces spiritual solidarity. Rooted in the principles of Ekakharana Nam Dharma, Palnam symbolizes absolute submission to Krishna through collective recitation and spiritual contemplation. Another significant festival is Janmashtami, which is celebrated on the occasion of the birth of Lord Krishna, and it is celebrated at every Khatras and Namghars of the villages in Majuli every year. Another significant festival is Holi, also locally known as Pakua Utkhab. It is one of the main festivals of the people of the Majuli district. Sri Sri Dokhinpat Khatra, Sri Sri Gormur Khatra of Majuli celebrates this festival of colors in their traditional way with the singing of Borgits, penned by Srimad Shankardeva and Sri Sri Madhavdeva. These festivals have been attracting massive tourists to the Khatras of Majuli, which remains not just a religious site but also a cultural heritage. These festivals have been attracting massive tourists to the Khatras of Majuli, which remains a religious site as well as a space of cultural heritage. In conclusion, space is not just physical, it is also socially created, shaped by human beliefs, practices, emotions, and experiences. At the same time, humans naturally feel space in spiritual, emotional, visual, and symbolic ways. Space can be understood metaphorically and mystically, much like the Greek idea of cosmos, where everything, earth, sky, and divine forces interconnects. Different cultures understand sacred geography differently. For example, in Maya culture, sacred geography is closely linked to natural features like mountains and rivers, along with gods and beliefs connected to them. In India, scholars have studied sacred cities such as Puri, Banaras, and other holy centers to understand how their structure, layout, and symbolism create powerful sacred spaces. These studies show a growing interest in understanding how sacred places are formed, organized, and experienced. According to Aulet and Vidal, religious heritage sites or the sacred spaces act as carriers of long-standing cultural and spiritual values that shape the identity of a territory. These places transmit values not just through their physical presence but through the meaning attached to them over time. Thank you so much.